Welcome to The Explainer. We are literally just days away from an absolutely massive event. August 12th in Salzburg, the stage is officially set for a highly anticipated UEFA Super Cup clash. And man, we need to talk about exactly what's on the line here.
Because if you look at the current landscape of European football right now, there's really just one central question hanging over everything. Can anyone actually stop Paris Saint-Germain? Seriously, after capturing the Champions League crown, they've transformed into an absolute powerhouse. And now? Well, they've got another piece of silverware squarely in their sights.
But this matchup, it's a fascinating clash of mentalities. On one hand, you have PSG entering as the reigning Champions League winners. They're carrying immense confidence, sure, but they're also burdened by that heavy expectation of staying at the absolute top. Meanwhile, you've got Europa League winners Aston Villa bringing a completely different vibe. They have scrapped their way back to Europe's biggest stage, they are hungry, and they view this as a massive opportunity. Guys, this isn't a warm-up, it is a full-on collision of champions.
Let's jump into Section 1, the Super Cup Stakes. One match, one trophy.
This matchup really strips football down to its brutal reality. We're in Salzburg on August 12th for a definitive battle of champions, but here's the catch. There is no second leg to save anyone. And that changes the entire dynamic. In typical European knockout football, a bad night can usually be erased a week later. Not here. This is a one-night, winner-takes-all battle.
Moving on to Section 2, the quarter-final rematch, Ghosts of the Past.
Now, Aston Villa are not just here to make up the numbers, and they've actually got history with PSG to prove it. Remember when these two sides met in the Champions League quarterfinal? Villa utterly refused to surrender. In that second leg, they pulled off a thrilling 3-2 victory at Villa Park. The atmosphere was absolutely electric as Villa just kept attacking, making a miraculous comeback look, well, genuinely possible against those Parisian giants.
But ultimately, PSG had done just enough in the first leg. Winning 5-4 on aggregate, the French side survived the onslaught and moved forward. However, and this is a big however, a psychological seed was planted there. Aston Villa showed all of Europe that they could make life incredibly difficult for a giant.
Which brings us to Section 3, heavyweight versus hungry challenger, the psychology of champions.
For PSG, the biggest challenge might actually be maintaining their own dominance. Think about it. They aren't chasing respect in Europe anymore. They already have it. When you become a European champion, winning is no longer a surprise. It literally becomes the baseline standard. And carrying that standard, it creates this relentless, immense internal pressure.
On the flip side, Aston Villa are facing a completely different kind of pressure. Actually, their road to Salzburg hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. They recently took a 2-1 defeat to Bayern Munich in preseason, and they're dealing with some mounting injury concerns right now. The timing is definitely far from perfect, making what was already an uphill battle against PSG even steeper. But hey, football rarely follows the script, right? PSG will step onto the pitch with confidence, sure, but they're burdened by the need to prove their European dominance isn't just a temporary thing. Aston Villa, they'll bring the hunger. They are driven by a deep desire to announce themselves on yet another European stage and prove they truly belong at the same table as the elites. They're standing just one match away from another major European trophy. For any football fan, watching these two wildly contrasting motivations collide is exactly why we love the game.
Let's get into Section 4, Unai Emery's tactical X-Factor, the knockout master. Aston Villa manager Unai Emery has literally built his entire reputation around European competition. His methodology is proven, and it is absolutely lethal. He knows exactly how to prepare a squad for the unique pressures of knockout football. He knows how to systematically frustrate much stronger, heavily favored opponents. And most importantly, he knows how to position his team to ruthlessly capitalize the second the opposition blinks.
Because Emery knows better than anyone that in a final, the margin between victory and defeat is razor thin. It can literally come down to just one decision.
It can come down to one rapid counterattack that catches a heavily favored team completely out of position.
It can hinge entirely on one defensive mistake under the intense, suffocating pressure of a cup final. Or it can simply require one moment of pure brilliance to rewrite the entire script of the match. Honestly, that could be the whole story of this Super Cup.
Look, PSG might have the bigger reputation, but Aston Villa have proven they can draw blood. So we're right back to the inescapable reality of this format. Two European champions, one match, one trophy, and absolutely no second chances. Football is about to give us a thrilling new chapter, and this time, there is nowhere to hide.
So the question isn't simply who's going to win. The bigger, much more provocative question you have to ask is this: can Aston Villa finally finish the job against PSG? On August 12th, we're all going to find out.